Hello and welcome everyone. Myself Abhijit and a very good evening or good morning to you all based on from your joining. So before we start today's session, can you please confirm that you all can hear me well and see my screen? Can you confirm via the chat window? Okay, good. So this is the sixth day of DevOps training, and before starting today's session, let's have a small recap of last day's topic. So previous day we saw about Docker. We saw an overview of Docker image. Then we saw how to create and run custom images. Then we learned about Dockerfile. Then pushing custom image to Docker Hub, Docker networking, default networks like bridge, host, and none. Then default bridge network, communication protocol of containers within a network, user-defined network creation, then limitations of default network we saw, then minus minus link option we saw to use name or name mapping, then creating and using custom network we saw, then difference between exec and attach, all these things we saw. So any doubt in those topics? Did you all try out that Docker exercises that I gave you? Any doubt when you're trying your Docker? Anyone? So anyone, any doubt when you tried out Docker? Were you able to execute those commands? Okay, Vivek is saying I could not attend the last session. Vivek, then what you can do is please go through the video recording and try out those commands and everything. And if you are having any doubt, please email me and I'll get back to you. Okay. So please make sure that you go through that video multiple times because that is a very important session. So please go through that and please make sure that you execute those commands and see whether you are able to use that thing. Okay. So Nainendu is asking what's the cluster mechanism in Docker. Nainendu, in Docker there is something called Docker Swarm, which is used for clustering of Docker containers, but that is advanced Docker. For now, you can focus on Docker, and once you have a good base on Docker, then you can go with Docker Swarm and try out clustering. So the tool that is used is Docker Swarm. So Vivek is asking, I have a question. I am using Windows 8. There is a Docker toolkit for Windows 8. Actually, Vivek, in Windows, like latest Windows, like Windows 8 and Windows 10, I think, you won't be able to install Docker for Windows because of some configuration issues. So there, you will have to install Docker toolkit. Okay, so there you have to install Docker machine, and also in that Docker's website itself they have one Windows installation page. There they have mentioned like if you are running, like there is a prerequisite section, and if your Windows machine doesn't have those things, then you can go with the alternative thing. That also is there in the same page. Okay, so anyone else? Okay, Vivek is saying I did the installation and it was great, Vivek. I'm glad to hear that it works for you. Then Prapanshu is asking, hi, while trying to pull images in Docker, I am getting error message. Failed to get default registry endpoint from daemon and have sent email. Prapanshu, actually, I didn't get that email. So can you do one thing? Can you just resend that email? Then I'll get that email and I'll check the email and get back to you. Okay. As of now, I haven't received that email. So maybe it was lost in between. So please send it once again so that I'll get that and I can get back to you. Okay. I only received your questions on Vagrant, which I already replied. Other than that, I didn't get anything on this Docker. Okay. So, anyone else, any other doubt you have in Docker? If there are no doubts, then we'll proceed with today's session. Okay, so it looks like there are no other doubts. So let's proceed with today's session. Today we'll learn about a configuration management tool called Chef. So in this course, we'll be seeing various configuration management tools, and one of them is Chef. So let's start. Okay, so can any of you tell me what configuration management is? Rishmi is saying no audio is coming. Can all of you hear me? Can you please confirm once again? Okay, so okay, Virendra is saying automation. So anyone else? What is the use of configuration management? Virendra is saying apply some particular to multiple servers. Exactly, Virendra. So configuration management is like Vaibhav is saying configuration management is related to configuring required various system config with automation. Good, very good. Actually saying configuration management tool is used to do some tasks automatically. Okay, yes, good. So I'm glad to know that you are following the session and you are understanding those topics. But a configuration management tool is for configuring machines. So like using provisioning systems, you will be provisioning your machine, so virtual machine, so your servers, and once those servers are up and running, then you will have to configure it. You will have to make sure that server or that particular machine is in a state where you can use it directly. So making that server from that bare operating system to the configuration that required, that is what is done by configuration management. And as you guys mentioned, it is an automated process. It can be automated. So a term for establishing and maintaining consistent settings and functional attributes for a system is called configuration management. Okay, so Vivek is asking that we can achieve using Docker as well. Why need Chef for that? Vivek, I didn't understand your question. What do you mean by that? Can you elaborate on that? Okay, Vivek is saying now we can use Docker to, let's say, install Nginx, have the container, and configure it. Okay, okay. So let's ask you. Let me ask you a question. Okay, so now you have a Docker machine, or you don't have any machine. You are creating a Docker machine. Okay, so once the machine is already running, how will you configure it? Like say you have, say, a set of machines which are already running, but you need to install a particular you need to install a particular software or a particular library in all those machines. Then how will you do that? Is it possible for you to do that without entering into each and every machine in Docker? No, right. So that is where this configuration management comes into play. So the major role or main role of this configuration management tools is to configure the machines once it is running. Like once it is ready, once it springs up, it will be able to configure those machines based on your need. So whenever you need to make that change, you will be able to do that, and you don't have to enter into each machine individually to do that. You'll be able to execute, say, one command, and it will make the change to all your machines. So you'll be able to automate it. Okay, good. Actually, it's a very good question. So let's proceed with Chef. Okay, so Chef is a powerful automation platform that transforms infrastructure into code. So basically, when you have empty instances ready, you can use configuration management tools like Chef to decide how you want to configure the instance or not. Like what are the tools that you want to install in it, and what are the files or services that you want, etc. So Chef or configuration management tools will help you configure your instances or nodes so that they are ready for serving your application. So the major role of these configuration management tools is to make the servers or make the instances or make the nodes ready for serving your application. So the finally, once configuration management is done, the only job left for a DevOps professional should be just to deploy the application. Okay. Now, as soon as you start your node or instance, the configuration management tool will configure it, and it will also check whether the nodes are matching the state that you have specified. Like, for example, if you have a node and you have to ensure that web server is always running, then what the configuration management tool will do is it will first check whether the web server is installed on the node. So if it is not installed, then it will install it. Then next, what it will do is it will make sure that the state of that web server is in running state. So if it was already installed, then it will ensure that the state of the web server is running. If it is not installed, then it will install it and make sure that the state is running. Okay. So similarly, you will also be able to instruct the configuration management tool on what to do if the file exists or not exists. Like if a file exists, then you can using the configuration management tool, you can ensure that it has this particular content or the content of that particular file is this. Those things also you'll be able to do with the help of configuration management tools. So some popular configuration management tools are Chef, Puppet, Ansible, SaltStack. Some of these we'll see during the session. Akhil is asking, are these setups predefined or can we create individual ones? Akhil, you can create in your own individual ones. Like you can have a predefined set and you can create on the go as well. Okay, so we'll be seeing how to do that. Actually, we'll be covering Chef today and next session. So two sessions we'll be covering Chef. So during these sessions, it will be clear to you. Okay, so Chef is a configuration management tool written in Ruby and Erlang. Okay, these are the programming languages used by Chef. So there is no need for you to understand the language, no need for you to know the Ruby language, but it is very easy when you see the commands that we execute, you'll understand it well. Okay, Vivek is asking how it will transform infrastructure into code. Vivek, actually, when I explain this Chef a little bit more, at that time it will be clear to you. Okay, so at that time I'll explain to you. Okay. Okay, so now coming to Chef architecture. In the case of Chef, there is something called Chef workstation. Then there is something called Chef server, and there are Chef nodes. Okay, so Chef workstation is where you will work on as a DevOps professional. So as a DevOps professional, you will be working on the Chef workstation. Your development kit or the tools for you to configure and use Chef will reside in this particular workstation. So it can be your local machine or it can be your EC2 instance. So it can be any machine. So this is the machine where you will have the files which you will be editing, and based on these files only you will be configuring your instances or nodes. Okay, so you will never talk to the node directly except for one time. We'll see when that is. Okay, now Chef server, like configuration information for each node is stored in the Chef server. So whatever changes that you make, you will be pushing you making the Chef workstation. You'll be pushing that change to Chef server. Okay, so this is where the configuration information that you want to apply to your nodes will reside in, and once it is here, the Chef nodes will pull the information from Chef server. Okay, So node is just a machine that the chef server configures. So in this one, I mentioned like the chef node will pull the configuration information from chef server. This is because Chef is a pull-based configuration management tool. There are two types of configuration management tools. First is pull-based configuration management tool, and another one is push-based configuration management tools. But in the case of Chef is a pull-based configuration management tool. So what it means is in pull-based configuration management tools, the client an agent a client agent needs to be installed on the chef nodes, and these agents inside those chef nodes or inside those nodes, it will be pulling those configuration information from the chef server. So it will be automatically polling like uh, in a pull based architecture, there will be a central location where the details or rules on how to configure the various nodes are stored. In our case, it is chef server, and the nodes will be regularly polling this particular central location to get information or the configuration or the rules. So this chef node will be polling periodically this chef server, and if there is any new configuration available for that particular node, it will pull that particular configuration from the chef server and execute inside chef node. So actual execution of that configuration information will happen inside the chef node. It won't be done by chef server. Chef server is only used to have is used to store or push that configuration information. So Vivek is asking what are the state of machine or chef nodes during the pull. So Vivek, actually it can be in any state. That is of no worry in the case of pull based or push based configuration management tool. So the machine can be of any state. So, but when the node polls this chef server to see whether there is any new configuration information for this particular node. If it is there, then it will execute that and ensure that the state is reached. And if there is no change, then it won't do anything. Okay. So the nodes will continuously poll the central location to see whether any new configuration details are there for them to execute. So for this pull-based configuration management tool to work, it needs an agent to be installed on the nodes, which will do the polling. Okay, so this is very important. Okay, so for pull-based configuration management tools, it needs an agent to be installed on the nodes, and this agent will do the polling, periodic polling. Okay, so Akhil is asking, does these machines need to be in same network? No, Akhil. Only thing is that it should be accessible from outside the world, outside like via the internet. Okay, we'll see a bit more about that one. So Vivek is saying, what are the advantages and disadvantages of both the tools? Okay, Vivek, the major difference is that like for a pull-based configuration management tool, you will need an agent installed on the node. But in the case of push base, how it will work is there will be a workstation or a server, and the server will push the changes to the nodes. There won't be any constant polling, but whenever there is a new configuration item ready, the server will automatically push those changes or push those configuration information to the nodes. So there won't be constant pulling. So in the case of advantage, when you are using push based configuration management tool, at that time the load on the server is very less. Like for a pull based configuration management tool, you will need the server always running. The server instance or server should always be running because the nodes will always be polling their server, right? So basically you should have one more instance or one more server which will be always running. But in the case of push base, that is not the case, because whenever you need to install or configure a machine, you can create a new server and just configure and then terminate the server. We'll see this difference when we look at other configuration management tools as well. But for today, just understand this pull-based configuration management tool. Okay. Now, Prapanshu is asking, is Chef concept same like AMI, Amazon Machine Image, where same operating system with apps can be deployed? Prapanshu, in the case of AMI, it's like a pre-configured machine. Like it's like using a snapshot. That is what AMI is. But in the case of configuration management, it is different. Like configuration management is used to configure. Like initially, when you're using configuration management tool to configure a machine, the initial stages, then you can compare it with AMI. But if the configuration you need to change your configuration periodically, then you won't be able to use AMI, because then you will have to create a new AMI and remove the instance or terminate the current instance and create a new instance from the new AMI, right? So that things you won't be able to do with AMI. So there you will have to use configuration management tools. Is it clear, Prapanshu? Okay, so within this asking for installing agent, I have to install on particular server node. Within the we'll be seeing that. Okay, so is this clear? So now this Chef workstation, as I mentioned, Chef's workstation is where you will be working on, and Chef workstation will have the development kit installed. So the development kit for Chef is called Chef DK or Chef development kit, and this is the development kit which will be installed in your workstation, and using that development kit only you will be creating those configuration informations. So Nainendu is asking what is the role of Chef workstation here. So Nainendu, Chef workstation is where you will be creating the config. You will be writing the code. You will be writing what are the configurations or what are the things that you need to make on on which and all nodes. All those things we will be writing or creating inside Chef workstation. It will have the Chef development kit installed inside that, and using that you will be creating those things. So that is the purpose of having Chef workstation. This is where as DevOps professional you will be working on. So Nainendu is asking, so you mean you need two extra nodes in Chef? So Nainendu, you will need one workstation, then you will need one Chef server and Chef nodes. So you can install Chef server on your workstation also, but that is not like you can have different containers for this, but you can also use hosted Chef server as well. So Akhil is asking, is recipe the name of the agent? No, Akhil, recipe is not the name of the agent. Those things you'll understand when we proceed with the session. Okay. So Akhil is asking, what is the minimum size requirements? Akhil, there is no minimum size requirements, but we'll be seeing this example with the help of Docker containers. So that will considerably reduce the resource intensity on my machine, but there is no specific like minimum size requirements, since these tools are lightweight. It won't need that much resource. Only thing is it will always be polling. In the case of Chef, the Chef nodes will always be polling the Chef server, so that you have to keep in mind. Okay, now as I was saying, these are the components. Chef workstation, the workstation is a location from which users like DevOps professionals interact with Chef. Now nodes can be an Android machine or Windows machine or Linux machine. So nodes are the machines. It can be physical machine, virtual machine, cloud machine, or anything like cloud instance, or it can be anything. So these are under management by Chef. The Chef client is installed on each node. So nodes use the Chef client to ask the Chef server for configuration details such as recipes, templates, and files distributions. So Vivek is asking, Chef nodes equals machines equals Docker containers. Yes, actually Chef nodes can be Docker containers, or it can be Linux machines, or it can be Windows machines, or it can be EC2 instances. It can be anything. So in our example, we will be using Docker containers as Chef nodes, but you can have EC2 instances also as chef nodes. Okay. Now chef server acts as a hub for configuration data. The chef server stores cookbooks, the policies that are applied to nodes, and metadata that describes each registered node that is being managed by the chef client. So all these things will be stored in chef server. So it is like a hub for configuration data. Okay, so a collection of recipe is called a cookbook. So recipe is like one configuration information is called a recipe, and collection of recipes is called a cookbook. Okay, so one thing you have to remember is that your chef server cannot be a Windows system. So your chef node can be a Windows system, but chef server cannot be a Windows system. It should be a Linux based system. Okay, Vivek is asking explain with example recipe and cookbook. Vivek, that we'll be seeing that in the upcoming session. Okay. Okay, so this is the communication between Chef Workstation, Chef Server, and Nodes. So this is the workstation. This will have the this will have the Chef development kit installed, or this will have the Chef repo development kit in your system, and it will have the configuration informations and cookbooks. And these will be managed with the help of source control to manage versioning and all those things. These are just text files, okay, text based files. So you'll be able to manage this with the help of source control systems. And there is one tool called, when you install Chef development kit in your Chef workstation, there will be a tool called Knife. It is a multi-purpose command line tool for a Chef, and it is part of the Chef development kit. Using this Knife tool only, you will be communicating with Chef server. So Nikhil is asking why Windows system can't be server. Nikhil, Chef is configured in such a way that the server needs different types of permissions for others to poll and those kind of things. So by default, that is how Chef is configured. So you can't have a Windows server, Windows machine as web Chef server. It should always be a Linux machine. Okay, so using this Knife tool, workstation will be communicating with Chef server, and this Knife tool will be used to upload cookbooks, then policies and all those things will be uploaded from the workstation to the Chef server using this Knife tool. And once it is there in the Chef server, the Chef nodes will be constantly polling the Chef server to get the configuration information. And this nodes will have a Chef client installed, which is the Chef agent, and this Chef client will be responsible to poll the Chef server periodically. Okay, so this is the flow in which Chef works. Is it clear? Any doubt in this one? Anyone? Okay, Kyadi wants me to explain again. Okay, Kyadi. So as I mentioned, workstation is where, as DevOps professional, you will be working on. So inside your workstation, you will be creating recipes and cookbooks. And inside your workstation, you will also have your Chef development kit. And inside that Chef development kit, there is a multi-purpose command line tool called Knife already installed. And that Knife tool is used to communicate with Chef server. So the workstation will use the Knife tool to communicate with the Chef server. So Knife tool will be used to upload the cookbooks and recipes that you create on your workstation to the Chef server. Okay, so once those cookbooks and recipes are there in the Chef server, the Chef nodes will be periodically polling the Chef server to see whether there is any new configuration information. So if there is any new configuration information, that will be pulled from that Chef server and applied to the applicable nodes. And this for polling this Chef server, nodes will have one tool, one agent installed. That agent, Chef agent, is called Chef client. And using this Chef client only, the nodes will be communicating with the Chef server. Okay, so Rashmi is asking, can Chef workstation be Windows machine? Yes, Rashmi, Chef workstation can be a Windows machine. Only thing is Chef server cannot be a Windows machine. So uh, Chaitali is asking, can you explain concept of cookbook? Chaitali, we'll be seeing cookbook in detail in the upcoming slide. At that time, it will be clear to you. So Akhil is asking, in case of disaster, which is the most important part out of three? Akhil, actually, in this case, like workstation, if you are having a source control system, then all your codes and all your cookbooks and recipes will be there in that source control system. So even if your workstation fails, you will be able to use that source control system and to configure to communicate with the chef server. But if your chef server is not running, or if there is anything happens to the chef server, then the nodes will be there won't be a server for the nodes to poll. So at that time, your configuration management won't work. So basically, you have to ensure that the chef server is always running. Okay. So Vivek is asking, what is node object? See, node is just an instance, just a server. So in our case, this node can be a physical machine, it can be a virtual machine, it can be a cloud instance, or it can be a network. It can be anything. Okay, Vivek is asking, node object in chef server. Okay, so this node object, what it means is like whenever this chef's client, like all the details, all the current status regarding this nodes, each individual node will also be stored in the chef server, so that chef server will know that okay, this is the current state of that node. That is what this node object does. So we'll be seeing one tool in the upcoming slide. At that time, it will be clear to you. Okay, so Nine is just asking, you said knife tool puts cookbook and recipe in chef server. Does it use which protocol or how it does? Nainendu, when you install, like you'll be using hosted chef server in our examples, and at that time it will be clear to you. So please hold with these questions, this protocol and how it does questions for later, because when I explain this, it will be clear to you. Okay, so now chef node is any machine. It can be a physical machine or virtual machine or cloud instance or network device. That is under management by chef. That is what chef node is. Then workstation. A workstation is a computer running the chef development kit or chef DK that is used to author cookbooks, interact with chef server, and interact with nodes. So knife is the tool that is used to interact with chef server. So the workstation is where developing and testing cookbooks and recipes, testing chef code, keeping the chef repo synchronized with version control system, configuring organization policy. All those things will be done inside the workstation. So this workstation is where you will be working on. So remember to test your cookbooks on workstation before you push them onto the chef server. So the workstation also provides you with the ability to test your cookbooks inside the workstation itself before pushing it to the chef server. So one thing you have to keep in mind is that workstations won't be communicating directly with the nodes except for one time. We'll see when that is, but after that one time, the workstations won't be communicating with the nodes directly at all. The nodes will only be communicating with the chef server, and workstation will also be communicating with the chef server. Okay, so knife, this is what I mentioned. Knife is a command line tool that provides an interface between a local chef repo and the chef server. So that basically knife is what is used to communicate between your chef workstation and chef server. So this will work only on the workstation. Okay, so this is used to interact with the chef server. Okay, so there is one more use, like there is one more use of knife in which it is used, like it can communicate when there is one, like and mentioned, right, there is one in occurrence where the workstation will have to communicate with the node directly. So at that time also, we'll be using the knife tool to do that. So knife tool will do that communication as well. Okay. So knife helps users to manage notes, cookbooks and recipes, roles, environments, database, then resources within various cloud environments, the installation of Chef client onto nodes, searching of index data on Chef server. So all these things will be done with the help of knife command line tool. Okay. Now, Chef repository or Chef repo. The Chef repo is a directory on your workstation. So this is just a directory on your workstation, and this is the directory where you will have your cookbooks, then roles, databags, environments, etc. So databag is just a global variable. Okay, so it is it is a global variable that is stored as JSON data and is accessible from Chef server. So this is just to store data. You just need to understand it like that. Okay, now Chef server. The Chef server acts as a hub for configuration data. So Chef server does not configure the nodes. So please keep this in mind. Chef server does not configure the nodes. Nodes will be configuring on its own. Only thing is it will pull the details to be used during the configuration from the Chef server. So the Chef server will only act as a repository or a hub from where the nodes can pull the configuration information. So once the configuration information is pulled onto the nodes, nodes will be executing or implementing those configuration changes on itself. So Chef server won't be doing that. Okay, so the Chef server acts as a hub for configuration data. The Chef server stores cookbooks, policies that are applied to nodes, and metadata that describes each registered node that is being managed by the Chef client. Then nodes use the Chef client to ask the Chef server for configuration details such as recipes, templates, and file distributions. And finally, once it have the information, the Chef client will do the configuration information. So Akhil is asking, polling is done from which part? Akhil, polling is done from the Chef node using this Chef client. Okay, so the actual job of configuring the machines will be done by the Chef client, which is the Chef agent installed inside those nodes. Okay, next is hosted Chef server. So the hosted Chef server is a version of the Chef server that is hosted by Chef. Okay, so Chef provides a Chef server hosted by Chef itself, and you'll be able to sign up with them. And it is a cloud-based, scalable, and it is available 24/7 with resource-based access control. So it is very good. They also provide enterprise version, but there is also an open source version of Chef server available. But please keep this in mind that the open source version you will have to install on your own, or you have to host on your own, and the UI will look different. Like the open source version's UI will be different from that of the enterprise version. Okay. The hosted Chef server has the same automation capabilities of any Chef server, but without requiring it to be set up and managed from behind the firewall. So we'll be using this hosted Chef server capability of Chef for our experimentation. Okay, and one more thing you have to keep in mind is that Chef is an idempotent tool. So what it means is resources or commands are applied only once if they are not applied before. But if they are already applied, then it won't reapply it blindly. It will remember the state of execution. Okay. So Vivek is saying he's not able to hear me. So can all of you please confirm that you guys are able to hear me well? Okay. So okay. So as I was saying, Chef is an idempotent tool. Okay, so what it means by idempotent is that, like, if you execute a command twice, then it won't be executing those commands. Like, if you specify that, okay, I want to have I want that particular node to have, say, a web server installed, or I want the node to have a file there, like, create a file inside that node. If I want to do that, then if you execute that command twice, then it won't create those that file multiple times. It will only create once. And a second time when the command is executed, it will check whether it is already there. If the file already exists, and if the file already exists, then it won't execute that command. So it is intelligent in such a way. Okay, so that is why Chef is called idempotent. So which means that resources or commands are applied only if they are not applied before. It will not be reapplied blindly. It will remember the state of execution. Is it clear? Okay, so that means that it will execute the commands like installing or uninstalling software only if it's not been done. If it is already done, then it won't do anything. Okay, now into cookbooks. So a cookbook is a fundamental unit of configuration and policy distribution. A cookbook defines a scenario and contains everything that is required to support that scenario. Okay, so recipes that specify the resources to use and the order in which they are to be applied, like attribute values, file distribution templates, all these things will be contained, like recipes, file distribution templates, all these things will be inside the cookbook. So collection of recipes is called cookbook. A cookbook is nothing but a folder. So in layman's term, whenever you see the term cookbook, don't be afraid of that one. So a cookbook is nothing but a folder. It is just a directory in your workstation, and it will have a collection of recipe files. Okay. So Chef is created in Ruby. I mentioned Chef is created in Ruby. So this language that you will be using when creating these cookbooks and defining recipes will also be Ruby. So Ruby is a very simple language. So whenever you see the commands that I execute, whenever we see the recipes that I create, it will be clear that it is a very easy tool to use. Okay, it will be easily understandable to you. Okay, then there is something called Chef Supermarket. So Chef Supermarket is the site for community cookbooks. So it provides an easily searchable cookbook repository and a friendly web UI. So this is like a Git repository. It is like a repository for storing or uploading your recipes or sharing your recipes. So Chef Supermarket is a site for community cookbooks. So you will be able to upload your cookbooks to the Chef Supermarket, and it will be available to the whole community. Anyone will be able to use your cookbook. So always keep in mind that instead of reinventing the wheel, use already existing codes as much as possible. So it not only saves you time, but it also ensures that you always have robust code. So there is no use of you spending any time creating a cookbook or a recipe which is already there, right? So if the recipe or cookbook is already there, then you should always use that one. So try learning to uh, learn to reuse the codes. So whenever you have a requirement, first see whether someone else has already done, and whether the same thing is already done. If it is already done, then you can directly use that one. You don't have to spend your time on creating it from scratch. Okay, as DevOps professional, you should always keep this in mind. Okay, so the public Chef Supermarket is hosted by Chef and is located at this particular URL. Okay, so next is policy. So policies describe how you want Chef to build your system. So policy is just a file. It is a flat file, and it describes how you want Chef to build your system or configure your node. It states the state each node should be in, and but it will not tell how to get there. So it will only specify the state, like it will say that okay, I want this particular software to be installed, but it won't say that how you want to achieve that particular state. That it won't mention. It will only specify the state in which it wants the node to be in. Okay, so how to do that, how to get there will come under cookbooks and recipes. Okay, so a policy. So Prapanshu is asking how can we search that codes in Chef Market. uh, Prapanshu, you can go to this website and there you'll see a search option, and there you'll be able to search. It is like no any other search, you'll be able to search in that particular website. Okay, now as I mentioned, policies, the policy says the state that each node should be in, but not how to get there. Okay, so how to get there will be determined with the help of cookbooks and recipes. So some of the examples of policy concept are like if it should be installed, like if it is not installed, then install it. So if it is already installed, then do nothing. Then a file should exist if not created. All those things are concepts that are there in policy. So when you specify, like when you say that, when you in a policy, if you say that okay, make sure that this a particular software is installed, then what it will do is it will ensure that that particular software is installed. But how to install that it will look up, it will use cookbooks and recipes help to do that. Okay, so Akhil is asking, can Chef be configured to power on systems if it is down? No, Akhil, you can't use Chef to power on a system. Chef is used to configure systems that are already running. Okay, but there are like you in the modern world, configuration management tools can also be used as provisioning tools, but that you can see, like once you have an understanding of configuration management tools for configuration purpose, then you can explore the provisioning aspect of configuration management tools. But at this time, I don't want you to be confused about that one. So just understand that you can't use Chef to power up a system. Like you can't power on a system using Chef. You can create, you can provision, you can use custom codes to create a machine, but you can't use it to, like if a machine is powered off, you can't use Chef to power it on. Okay, now resources. So resource represents a piece of system or a single configuration item and its desired state. So resource, when you hear resource, what it means is it is just a piece of a system or a single configuration item. Okay, so it is present on a node that is under management by Chef. Then basically it is the building blocks of Chef configuration. Okay, so when Chef client is run on a node, the resource is executed by the provider, which is handled by Chef and the operating system itself. Like what provider to use, that is the package manager. Sorry, that is what package manager to use, such as yum or apt get, is populated when OHI is run at the start of each Chef client run. So this is very important. Okay, so like I mentioned, whenever a Chef client is run, whenever a Chef client is executed, at that time a tool called OHI will be executed by the Chef client. Okay, so this tool, which is OHI, is the one that will be collecting the information about that Chef node and giving that information to the Chef server. Okay, so based on the information provided by this OHI tool, the Chef client will determine, okay, Chef client will know, like OHI tool will give you like what is the operating system installed and what is the package manager, all those things OHI tool will give. So based on that one, which package manager to use, and all those things will be determined based on this result from OHI. Okay, is it clear? So OHI is a system profiling tool that is used to collect system configuration data, which is provided to the Chef client for use within cookbooks. So OHI is run by the Chef client at the beginning of every Chef run to determine system state. So OHI will be identifying the system state. So that is every time the Chef client polls the Chef server, this OHI tool will be executed. Okay. There are some common resource types that are available. One is package. This package resource is used to manage packages such as installing applications or installing packages. Then template resource type is used to manage the contents of a Ruby template in the cookbook. We'll be seeing this. Then service resource type is used to manage system services, like what run levels to start the service in, like current state of the service, like whether it should be in running state or enabled or stopped. All those things can be used, like those all those things that are related to service will come under service resource type. Okay, now this is the communication between Chef workstation, Chef server, and Chef node. So Khadi is asking what is OHI. See, Khadi, OHI is a system profiling tool. Like it is the tool that is used to collect system configuration data of the nodes. So whenever the Chef client is executed, the OHI tool will be executed, and at that time it will collect the details about that node, including the current status, like current system state, like operating system, then kernel, all those things, all those details regarding that node will be collected by this OHI, which is a profiling tool, and that details will be available to the Chef server and the Chef node, and this will be used during the execution of recipes and cookbooks. Is it clear, Khadi? So the types of attributes that OHI collects include but not limited to operating system, network, memory, disk, CPU, all those things uh, it will identify. Akil is asking, it is like schema. Yes, Akil, it is similar to schema, but the attributes that OHI collects, there are list of there are a wide variety of attributes that OHI collects, including host names, then domain names, virtualization, cloud provider, metadata, all those things. So it is a very powerful tool, but it is similar to schema. Yes. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, the workstation will be communicating with Chef server, and Chef server will be communicating, or node will be communicating with the Chef server. So I mentioned, like, a workstation will not be communicating with the Chef node directly except for one time, right? So when is that one time? That is called bootstrapping. So normally workstation will talk only to the server, but there is one instance where the workstation should talk to the node, and this is done at the beginning when a fresh node is added. So this communication between the workstation and the node is called bootstrapping. So someone asked, like, how will you install that Chef client, which is the Chef agent inside that node, right? So that is done by this bootstrapping. So that is the on and only time when the workstation will be communicating with the Chef node. So whenever a new Chef node is added or a fresh node is added, at that time the workstation will be communicating directly to that Chef node, and installing that Chef agent, which is the Chef client. And this communication is done with the help of knife tool. When I talked about knife, I mentioned that knife tool can be used to communicate between workstation and node, right? So this is when knife is used for bootstrapping. Is it clear? So at the time of bootstrapping, workstation must have root SSH access into the nodes. Okay, so is this clear? Is bootstrapping clear to all of you? So now you know what is the one occurrence when the workstation will be communicating directly with the node. Is it clear? And one more thing you have to keep in mind is that you need to manually trigger knife to bootstrap the node. So that there is no automated way to do that. So you have to manually trigger knife to bootstrap the node. So once it is bootstrapped, then further on it will be constantly polling the chef server and getting the configuration information. So Nijita wants me to repeat once again. Okay, Nijita, normally workstation will be communicating only with the chef server, and the nodes will only be communicating with the chef server. It won't be communicating with the workstation. So there is no communication between workstation and node except for one time. That one time is at the beginning when a fresh node is added. So when a fresh node is added, at that time it doesn't have the chef client installed on that one, right? So first step of connecting a node to workstation or a server is to install the chef client. So in order to install that chef client, workstation will need to talk to the chef node directly. So that is called bootstrapping. So that is the one and only time when the workstation will be communicating with the chef node. So once the bootstrapping is done, after that there won't be any communication between workstation and the node directly. Node will be communicating or polling the chef server. It won't be communicating with workstation at all. And this bootstrapping is done by the workstation with the help of knife tool. Is it clear, Rajita? So Rajita is asking, is it one-time installation of node communication or every time it will communicate? Rajita, see, workstation will be communicating with the node directly only once. After the initial bootstrapping, it won't be communicating with the node at all directly. It will be communicating with chef server. The workstation will be communicating with chef server. So Vivek is asking, what is the need to do bootstrapping? Vivek, as I mentioned, Chef client is like you need to have, since it is a pull-based configuration management tool, it should have one Chef agent installed, right? So that Chef agent, which is Chef client, how to install that on? So in order to install that on, you need bootstrapping. So during bootstrapping, it will install, workstation will install the Chef client inside the Chef node. That is why we need bootstrapping. Is it clear? Shadi is asking, should both Chef client and Ohio be installed on Node? Khadi, Ohio will be executed directly by Chef client. When you install Chef client, at that time, Ohio will by default be installed in the node. You don't have to worry about that one. And you don't have to worry about the execution of Ohio tool also. Whenever the Chef client command is executed, at that time, Ohio will also be executed. Okay. Then Akhil is asking, knife will be already present with workstation. Yes, Akhil, the workstation you will be installing the Chef development kit, and when you install that, knife will be there. The knife tool will be there with the workstation. So Vivek is asking, can't it be done using Chef server? No, Vivek, because the Chef server won't be like Chef server won't be communicating to the node. Node will be polling the Chef server and getting the configuration information. So there is no way Chef server can contact node from server to node. Only node to server connection is possible. So we can't use Chef server to bootstrap the node. Okay. Fusion is asking, is there any other tool like Ohio? Fusion Ohio is the tool that Chef uses. So you don't have to, we won't be able to specify any other tool. So by default, Ohio will be executed. Okay, so when you are using Chef, you only need Ohio. You don't need anything else. So Riza is asking, what communication will happen between workstation and server? See, this is the communication like workstation. Using from the workstation, you will be uploading the cookbooks and recipes to the Chef server, and that is done with the help of knife tool. Okay, so that communication, more details about the communication will be clear to you when we go into practicals. Okay, so now we'll be going into practical. So before that, Nanendra has a doubt. So what I understand is during bootstrapping, workstation install Ohi in Chef client. Is that correct? No, Nanendra, please don't confuse between Chef node and Chef client. Chef node is the virtual machine or instance or server, and inside that server, the Chef agent will be installed, and that agent name is Chef client. Okay, so bootstrapping is the process of installing Chef client inside the Chef node. So it is not the process of installing Ohi. When you install Chef client, automatically Ohi will be installed. Is this clear, Nainendu? Okay, good. So now we'll be going into practicals. So before that, we'll take a 15 minutes break. So now it's 8, and we'll be back at 8:15. Okay, we'll be having a 15 minutes break now. Hello and welcome back everyone. So before restarting the session, can you please confirm that you all can hear me well and see my screen? Okay, good. So let's proceed. So one more thing I want to tell you is that in the upcoming slides, we'll be seeing slides like this, and there you'll see images like this. So what it means is that like if you see this particular image in that slide, that means whatever commands that are there in that particular slide is being executed in the chef workstation. Okay, similarly if you see this image, that means it is executed in the chef client. Okay, so let's proceed with the practicals. So now first thing, I have created my chef workstation. Sorry. Okay, I am inside my chef workstation. So that means this is my local system, and I'll be creating a Docker container to act as a chef workstation. Okay, so before that, you should download something called starter kit. So in our examples, we'll be using the chef online server or chef's default server. The server provided by chef itself will be using as chef server. Okay, so for that you will have to sign up. You can sign a free account is there, so you can sign up with chef.io. So inside that, you can go to this management console, and once you sign up, you will get the informations. And once you log in, you will get a console like this. So this is your chef server. This is managed by chef itself. So here once you log in, you will get something like this, and you can go to administration, and here there's something called organization. This is just like groups. So you can create a new organization, or you can use the default organization. I create the new organization, and this is the organization that I'll be using. Okay, so you have to click this organization, and then you can go to the starter kit, and here you have to download the starter kit. So this is the kit that you have to download. So first thing you have to do is you have to go to the chef.io. Then inside that management console, you have to create an account and login. And once you log in, go to administration. You can create your own organization if you want. By default, you will have one organization. You can use that organization also if you want. But I created a new organization, and from that on, you can click this download starter kit. Okay, this we'll be using. And another thing is, this should be done only once, because now I have already downloaded my starter kit. Okay, so now I have the starter kit, but now if I press this download starter kit again, it will create a new starter kit. So all the credentials and everything will be new. So please make sure that you download this or do this only once. You download the starter kit only once, and once you start using it, please don't re-download the starter kit. Okay, so please copy the starter kit to a folder that you are working on, and you can unzip and keep it safe. Okay, so now this is my starter kit, chef-starter.zip, and when you unzip, you will get one folder called chef-repo. Akhil is asking, starter kit is for which operating system? Akhil, there is no operating system. This is not related to operating system. It will work on any machine, Windows or Mac or Linux. So it is irrespective of operating system. So ls chef repo. So this is the folder or directory that I received uh, when I unzipped my chef starter.zip file, and this is the current content. Okay, so this is how you can download the starter kit. Okay, so this is what I mentioned. Now sorry, now I'm going to create a new network. See, as I mentioned, I'll be using Docker. Khadi is asking last step. Khadi, what do you mean by last step? I didn't understand. Is chef repo? Okay, Khadi, see, as I mentioned, you can download the starter kit from there, and once you download, then you will get one file called chef-starter.zip. Okay, so when you unzip that particular folder or particular file, then you will get one folder called chef-repo. So this is the content of this starter kit. So this chef repo folder is the content of my chef starter kit. Is it clear? Okay, so as I mentioned, I'll be using Docker containers. So for that, first thing I'll do is I'll create a new network. So I'm creating a new network, Docker network create, and I'll give the network name as chef. So I'll be using this particular network only for chef. Akhil is asking, this is open source we are using. Akhil, actually we have signed up with, we'll have to sign up with this chef managed server, and once you sign up there you can have the free version, and now we are inside the free version, and you can have your own host itself. So for trying out you can use this one, but there is one open source chef server available which you'll have to download, and if you want to host it on your own, then you have to download that and host on your own. But this one is managed by chef. You don't have to host or worry about the chef server. You just need to create an account, and you will have the functionality of chef server available for you via the cloud. Okay, Kathy is asking, is sign up free? Yes, Kathy, it is free for you to sign up. Okay, but enterprise version also is available, which you'll have to pay, of course. So Kathy is asking, for practice, do we need to create on our own account? Yes, Kathy, I would suggest creating your own account for practice. So all those commands that I'll be executing, if you have an account, you'll be able to execute as such. Okay. So first thing I did is I created a Docker network called Chef. So now if I do Docker network ls, I can see the new Chef network which I created just now. Next thing is to create the Chef workstation. So I'll be using Docker run. I'll use --rm because I want to remove this once I terminate the instance. Then --name. I'll give one name for this one. I'll give it as chef ws for chef workstation, and I'll specify the network as chef. Then I'll be mapping pwd/ I'll be mapping the chef repo which I have unzipped from the starter kit. This particular folder I'll be mapping inside the inside my container in this path root chef hyphen repo. Okay, and the image name that I'm going to use is Shogini chef hyphen workspace. So this is an image which has chef development kit pre-installed. So that is why I am using this one. Now Vivek is asking, can you please take a notepad and explain the architecture, network, etc., which you are creating just for clarity purpose? Vivek, I'm not sure this Docker creating network and all I explained last class. So I hope it will be clear to all of you. But here I'm only creating a workstation. So now what I'll be doing is I'll be creating a workstation. Then I'll be using this Chef server hosted by Chef itself, where I have created an account, and then I'll be creating my own Chef node using Docker container, and I'll be configuring that Chef node with the help of the Chef server. So when I'll be creating new recipes in my Chef workstation, and I'll be pushing that recipes to my Chef server, and from my node, Chef node, or this Chef node container, from that it will automatically pull the configuration information and execute that one. That is what I'll be showing you. Okay. So this one I am just creating a workstation. So this will create a container. So this is my workstation. So if I do say docker ps, you can see that my workstation, which is chef ws, is running. So Akhil is asking, development kit is there in Docker image, then why we use starter kit? Okay, Akhil, see, this development kit is development kit will development kit will provide you with tools like Knife, but this Chef repo that we downloaded, or the starter kit that we downloaded, is for the workstation to communicate with the Chef server. So I'll show you. So in this one, ls-la and chef-repo, there is something called .chef folder. So in this .chef folder, you will see one file called Knife, which is the Knife command, and this is the PEM file which is used to communicate between the workstation and the server. So the communication between workstation and the server will happen with the help of this PEM file. So all those things, all those keys and all those things will be there inside the Chef repo. Okay, so this Chef workstation, what I meant by it just got Chef development kit installed is basically it will have Ruby installed. So you will be able to execute Ruby commands, and this inside this .chef folder you have this knife.rb, which is the knife tool which you will be using, and this tool will be able to execute because Ruby is pre-installed in this particular image. Okay. Okay. So now this one we saw. So next thing that you have to do is inside your workstation, you have to configure Git. Like if I do ls-l, you can see the contents of my mapped folder is there in that particular, it's already mapped. So you have access to those cookbooks and etc. inside my Chef workstation container. Vivek is asking, so you have pulled a Docker image which has Chef workstation. Yes, actually, this is not Chef. Like I have pulled a Docker image which has Ruby installed. So this one is created by us itself, so that we can have pre-installed Ruby in our container. So we can create container from image which has Ruby pre-installed. So this is just a container. Sorry, this is just an image which has Ruby pre-installed. Okay, so next thing, the first thing that you have to do is to configure Git, because without Git configuration, without configuring Git, you won't be able to work with Chef inside Chef workstation. So first thing that you have to do inside your Chef workstation is to configure Git. So you'll do user email, say then you'll configure user.name. Okay, so once you have this installed, once you have this configured, now your Chef workstation is ready. Prapanshi is asking, how can we create container with Ruby pre-installed? Do we need specific command? Prapanshi, you will be using Dockerfile to create container with Ruby pre-installed. This is what we saw last class. So if you want to create some image with pre-installed libraries or software, then you will have to use Dockerfile. As simple as that. Okay. Now, once you have your Git configured in the workstation, you can confirm that Chef is working. Like if you execute Chef client -z, then what it will do is it will run the Chef client inside the workstation itself. Akhil is asking, can we also include starter kit in Dockerfile? No, Akhil, see the starter kit like this PEM file and all. This will be specific to your own account, your chef.io account. Sorry, your chef.io account. So when you create your own account, at that time the starter kit, the PEM file that you get will be something else. Like if it is Akhil, your account name is Akhil, then your PEM file that you get will be akhil.pem, and it will be linked to your chef.io account. So there is no use in creating a Docker file with this PEM file or with this starter kit, because it is specific to each person, each individual, or each account. Khadi is asking, what is PEM file? Khadi, PEM file is the key file, or the key file used to communicate between this workstation and the server. So using this PEM file, you will be able to SSH, or those communication is possible using PEM file without username and password. Okay. Now, as I was saying, this chef hyphen client minus the option, if you specify, it will execute execute the chef client in local mode. Like it will create so see, these are the things that it did. Started chef 0. So chef 0 means like it will create a chef node or chef client in the workstation itself. So question is asking, PM is a common format. Yes, .pem file is a common format used for key files in Linux based machines. Okay, so in Windows it will be ppk. Okay, so now chef client, when I executed the chef client minus C option, you can see that first it started chef 0. That means it started a dummy chef server. Rashmi is asking, chef client is required in workstation also. No, Rashmi, we are just executing this to test. This is just for testing purpose. This is not required at all. We are just because I want to show you that chef client command is there in the chef workstation also. So if you want to test your recipes in your workstation, then you can use execute the chef client command. But chef client minus Z option will create a dummy chef server. Vivek is asking, but you did not install the client. How did it got installed? See, Vivek is asking, chef, you did not install the client. How did it got installed? See, that is what I meant. See, this particular image, it has got Ruby and the Chef development kit. All those things in pre-installed. Okay, so the Chef client and all those commands will already be there in that development kit. Okay, now it started a dummy Chef server. Then next thing it does is like, see, it is running the chef list. So Wi-Fi is saying no voice. Can all of you hear me? Okay, good. So as I was saying, now it is starting a run list. Like it is starting a chef client. Then it will be checking like Ohio plugin budget does not exist. So Ohio is not done in this particular case because this is in the works inside the workstation. Then it will check whether there is any run list or something. We'll see what run list is. Then it is loading cookbooks. If there is any cookbook already there in my cookbooks folder, then it would have executed that one. So it is saying that this particular node has an empty run list. So chef run is complete and there is no error at all. Okay. Now, if you go to like you see this node, this node or this name of that node is given like this. From where this comes is that like when you create the account, when you download the starter kit, at that time I showed you, right, you have one knife.rb file. So inside this, so if you do cat dot dot chef slash knife.rb file, you can see that it will have the configuration information. So inside that, just specified the node name as your user account name itself, and it will have the path. And see, these are the things which are required by the workstation to communicate with the chef server. Okay, so now this is where this particular node name comes from. By default, this is the node name that it will use when you are trying to execute it locally. Okay, so run list is like whether we specified any cookbooks or recipes to be executed for that particular node. We will be seeing run list in the upcoming session, but it is like we can specify, okay, I want to execute this cookbook inside this particular node. Like that, you will be able to specify with the help of run list. So actually something, can Chef client and server version create a config like it is not 13.2.20 in server? Akhil, no. Mostly there won't be any issue. I haven't seen any issue regarding conflict with client and server. Okay, so within this something, can I try Chef on VM instead of Docker? Yes, Virendra, you will be able to do the same thing using your virtual machine also. Okay, so now let's proceed. So now what we are going to see is to create our custom recipe or create a new recipe. Okay, so if you do this ls, you have one folder called cookbooks. So you have to cd into that cookbooks folder, and if you do ls minus l, you can see that there are some particular folders. So your cookbooks, if you want to create a new cookbook, then it will be created inside this cookbooks folder. Okay, so these are some default folders and files created, or that will be there by default inside your starter kit. But now we are going to see how to create your own cookbook. Okay, for that what you have to do is you have to execute the command chef generate cookbook, and you will have to give the cookbook name. Here I am going to give the cookbook name as Api. Okay, so this command, the chef generate cookbook command, is used to create a cookbook. You can also create this cookbook by creating the file, but you see, if you execute this command, then it will automatically create all the folders and all the structure it will create. Okay, so now if I do say ls minus l, you can see that one folder is created, one directory is created, which is api. And if I do tree, okay, you can see these are the files and folders that chef creates when you execute chef generate cookbook. So when you create that cookbook, it created a folder named that cookbook name, and inside that it created these many files. Okay, so these files you don't have to worry about. The file that you will be worrying about is inside this recipes folder. So inside this recipes folder, there is a file called default.rb. So this is the recipe file. So as I mentioned, cookbook is a group of recipes, right? So you can have n number of recipe files inside this recipes folder, and that means this particular cookbook has that many recipes there inside that one. Okay, now if I do ls minus l, okay, recipes, you can see I have one file called default.rb. Okay, now we'll see how to define resources, like how to use this particular recipe. Okay, so for I am going to edit this particular file, recipes and default.rb, and as you can see, it has only just commented version. See, this hash means comment in Ruby, so it is just a commented version. It has nothing else. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create my own resource. I'm going to create my own recipe. So this particular recipe file I'm going to edit, and I'm going to add my own resource. So I'm going to use file resource. The resource type I'm going to use is file, and here you have to specify the file name. So I am going to create a file name like chef test1.txt inside this slash root folder, and do. So this is the format that you will be using. Okay, so next you can give pass parameters like content. You can specify like this is a test file created via chef. Then for file you have to specify the mode. You can specify the mode like what is the permission, and all those things you will be able to specify. Then you will be able to specify the owner, like I'll be using the root user. Then you can also specify the group, all those things. These are not mandatory, but you can use this. You can always specify this one. Okay, so now this is a resource. So this particular thing, this particular section is a resource. So this default.rb is a recipe, and recipe will have recipe will have set of resources, and here we are using a file resource. So Akhil is asking, is indentation important here? Yes, Akhil, it is important in the case of Ruby, but since you are using do and end, it is not that important, but it is convention to use indentations like this. Okay, so here we are using a file resource to create a file named chef-test1.txt file inside this root path, and this is the content of that particular file that you are going to create, and this is the mode and the owner and group of that particular file. Now I am saving that particular file. Vivek is asking, so this recipe can be run on multiple nodes. Yes, Vivek, this recipe can be run on multiple nodes based on the nodes that are linked with the chef server. Okay, so this is what we are seeing. So we create the file resource. Now, what we have to do is, like I mentioned, like there you have to test the recipe before pushing it to the chef server. So in order to do that, there are 2 or 3 ways in which you can test the recipe. So Vivek is asking, similarly, we can create resource like server, storage, etc. No, server, storage, those things. See, the storage and everything comes under provisioning, right? So in the case of configuration management tool, you will be installing software or uninstalling software or making sure that a particular software is running, all those things, or a particular file or configuration file is there. All those things you will be doing with the help of configuration management. So creating storage and all, it won't come under this configuration management. But there are several resource types like template resource, file resource, package resource, then service resource. Using these resource types, you'll be able to manipulate libraries and softwares and files. Okay, then Reza is asking what info will be present in recipe. Okay, see, now if I do see cat recipes default.rb, you can see this is my recipe. This is the content of my recipe file. Okay, so here I have a resource, and in this resource you are using a file resource type. So file resource type, you are ensuring that a particular file named chef-test1.txt is present in the /root directory, and to ensure that this is the content of that particular file. Okay, so Reza is asking if it is a file, where exactly we'll use it. Reza, that we'll see. Okay, so now, as I mentioned, we are going. There are 2 or 3 ways in which you can test the recipe. So first thing is to execute it locally, like on the workstation itself, with recipe path. Like you can specify the recipe path directly and execute this particular recipe in the workstation itself. So before that, let's ls the root folder. As you can see, there is no file named chef-test1.txt inside the root folder of my chef workstation. Now, what you can do is you can use the command chef apply followed by the path recipes default.rb. So this is the recipe file that I want to test locally. So in order to test locally, I have to execute the command chef-apply followed by the recipe path. Okay, now I'll execute this command chef apply followed by the recipe path. As you can see this one, create a new file, this one, then update the content in the file as this, then change mode from empty to 0644. See, based on whatever that we have specified inside our recipe file, it has created a file and ensured that the content of that the file is the one that we gave, and the mode, owner and group also is changed accordingly. Okay, now if I do ls/root, you can see that this chef-test1.txt file is created in my local workstation. Is it clear? If I do say cat/root chef-test, you can see the content as the one that we have specified in the recipe file. Is it clear? Now if I want to edit, like if I want to edit the content of this one, if I want to edit the content of this particular file, then I can added this as a change. Okay, so now what I have done is I have edited my recipe, I have updated my recipe, and if I execute, can you tell me what will happen if I execute chef-apply api/recipe/default.rb? Can you tell me what will happen now? Can anyone tell me what will happen if I execute this command now? Kaz is saying that code is displayed deployed on there. Will update. Okay, so now what will happen is my saying it will run the only added change. Only change will be shown. Okay, let's see. So now when I execute this command, what it did is, see, earlier it created a new file. Now it didn't create a new file because the file was already there. So it just updated the content. Like it removed this particular line and added this line. So like this, you can ensure that a content of that particular file is this. Like this, you will be able to ensure. Like if I do cat slash root chef hyphen test one, you can see it has updated the content. Sorry, it has updated the content of that particular file. Now, can anyone tell me what will happen if I execute the same command once again without making any change? Can anyone tell me? Akhil is saying, Mahesh saying it will not run. Akhil is saying it will do nothing. Exactly, because chef is idempotent. Shishir is also saying no update. So since chef is idempotent, it won't make any change because already that state, that required state is already achieved. So it won't do anything. See, it's saying up to date. There is no change at all. Okay. Akhil is asking, will this work only where chef agent is installed? Akhil, inside the nodes, it will only work like only using chef agent only. You will be able to pull the configuration information, and chef agent is the one which will execute the information as well. So you will need chef agent to execute this one. Okay, so this since it is chef workstation, since it has got chef development kit installed, you will be able to execute this chef apply command to test it on your workstation. Okay, so this is the first method. Now second method is to execute in local mode with chef cookbook name. Like as I mentioned earlier, like when I use like chef client minus z to create a workstation or execute a node in local mode, right? So similarly, using that command, I'll be able to test this particular cookbook or recipe. So first, let me remove this particular file. Remove root chef-test 1.txt, because otherwise when this is executed once again there won't be any change. Now if I do ls/root, you can see that particular file is not there. Okay, now this is the second method using chef client minus z, and here you'll be using minus o option and followed by the cookbook name. Here my cookbook name is up here, right? So I am using that cookbook name. So I'll execute this command. So it will spring up a new node, local node for testing purpose, and it has created, see, it has created a file in this particular path. Now if I go to ls/root, you can see that file is created, and if I want to see the content of that particular file, you can see it has got the same content. So this is the second way of testing this cookbook inside the workstation. Is this clear? These two methods, is it clear to all of you? Any doubt? Khadi is asking, please explain again. Okay, so Khadi, first method. Rishmi is asking, but you said it's spin up a virtual machine. No, Rishmi, see, I'll explain. So see, first method, which is chef apply, what it will do is it will execute the recipe. Using chef apply, you will be able to execute the recipe directly. using but using chef client, you will be executing cookbooks or you will be testing cookbooks. But when you execute the chef client, what it will do is it will execute the chef client locally. So it won't be creating a new machine or a node. It will be executing the chef client locally. The chef client, as I mentioned, chef client is the one which is used to execute those configuration information, right? So chef client minus the option will create or execute the chef client locally. That means it will consider that, okay, this particular workstation is a node and the workstation wants to execute this chef client locally to test that particular cookbook. Okay, so these are the two methods of testing a recipe and cookbook. So chef apply to test a recipe and chef client minus the option to test a cookbook. So Rashmi is asking, but we have tried execution on chef client initially. Can this be used again and again? Yes, Rashmi. If I execute this command once again, then it will spring up the chef client and try to execute. But since it is already there, since everything is already there, it won't do anything. It won't change anything. It won't. It is saying up to date. Is it clear? Okay, so Vivek is asking, cookbook may have many recipes. Yes, Vivek, we can have n number of cookbooks inside the recipe. We'll see, like in the next class, we'll be seeing how to create multiple recipes and specify or execute individual recipes. So Akhil is asking how we can know cookbook API was applied. See, when I executed this particular thing, it is asking, like it is checking this one. See, it is like resolving cookbook for run. Sorry, resolving cookbook for run list API. See, loading cookbooks API, synchronizing cookbooks. Like this, you can see that cookbook API is being executed. Is this clear, Akhil? Now, Vivek is asking. So on the second method, will execute all recipes in cookbooks, right? Yes, Vivek. It will execute all the recipes in the cookbook. Okay, but there are ways in which you can specify your cookbook when you are installed, when you are trying to run it in the nodes, but that we'll see in the next class. Okay, so two ways we saw. Now next thing what we are going to see is using the chef server. Like we'll be using chef server to push the changes to the server and using a chef node to pull that changes and apply it in that particular node. That is what we are going to see next. Okay, now for that, first you have to do is you have to log into your machine, sorry, your server, chef server account. And once you are here, I am using this particular organization, and you have to select that, or here you can, in the drop down you can select the organization. I am using this particular organization name, and then you can go to policy, and all the cookbooks that you upload will be there in this area. So if you upload a cookbook, after uploading it will come in this particular area. So now you can see there are no cookbooks to be displayed. Okay, so similarly, if you want to see the list of cookbooks from your workstation, what you can do is you can use the knife tool, and you can execute the command knife cookbook list. If you execute this command, it will communicate with the chef server and show you the list of cookbooks that are already pushed to the server. Now, since there are no cookbooks pushed, it is giving an empty output. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to push the cookbook that I created, which is API, to the chef server. For that, what you have to do is you have to execute the command knife cookbook upload followed by the cookbook name. So knife cookbook upload followed by the cookbook name will upload that particular cookbook to the chef server. Is it clear? Now see, it is uploading my cookbook, which is API, and this is the default version that it will give, 0.1.0, and it has uploaded one cookbook. Now, if I go to my server and if I refresh, I can see that new cookbook is added. See this one, this is the cookbook that I just now uploaded. Similarly, if I execute the command chef knife cookbook list now, I'll see one cookbook which is API and the version is 0.1.0. Is it clear? Kathy is asking, this cookbook will have recipe. Yes, Kathy, we'll see. See, if you click this cookbook here, you'll be able to see the details like version and all. Then if you go to this content tab, you'll be able to see the contents. Like in this one, if you go to this files, nothing. See this recipes folder. If you see the default.rb, see the recipe that I created is now there in my chef server. Is it clear? So the recipe that I created in my local machine is now pushed or uploaded to the chef server. Now those nodes that are connected to this chef server will be able to use this recipe or cookbook. Is it clear? Is asking cookbook will have a default recipe. Yes, when you use knife generate cookbook, at that time it will by default create a recipe called default.rb. Okay, so is this clear? Is this clear to all of you? Okay, good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a node. Okay, so for that also I'll be using Docker. Docker run --rm -ti. Then I'm going to give the name as chef node 1. Then since this needs to, like as I mentioned, for a network, for a node, initially the workstation should be able to communicate via SSH to Bootstrap. So I am going to create it in the same network so that they'll be able to talk to each other. And I am using the chef network. And this is the image that I am going to use, chef node. And this will create a new node for me. This is just a node. This doesn't have anything. Only thing is it will have a Checkr cell server installed, SSD installed, so that I can specify the username and password. Okay, so now once you are inside this machine, first thing is you can either use the default password that is there, but since we are not sure about the default password, what you can do is you can create you can change the password for the root user. For that you can use echo root colon API1234. Here API1234 will be the new password for the root user, CAPASSWD. So this particular file, like it will automatically change the password for this particular root user to API1234 if you execute this command. Okay, now can anyone tell me what should happen now? What is the next step in our adding the node to our system? What is the first step? Can anyone tell me? Bootstrapping. Kathy is saying bootstrapping. Exactly. Okay, so for that what we are going to do is, so now here I am inside my workstation. So this tab is workstation and this tab is the chef node. Okay, so now here what I'll do is I'll use the knife tool, bootstrap, then followed by the node name. My case it is chef node 1. So this is the name, chef node 1. So I'll be using that particular node name, chef node 1 -x, and username which is root, followed by -p, which is API1234. This is the password that I changed just now for root user. Okay, followed by -n. Here you can give any name. This will be the name for your chef node. This is the name which will appear. This is the name which will appear in your server. Okay, so this will determine this particular machine, and this is just a name which will be which will be available, which will be used in this listing. Okay, so when you go to this nodes, when you go to this node section, you can see that there is no nodes at the moment in chef server, but after you execute this command, that node will be added, and that node will have the name this chef node one. This can be any name. You can decide what name you want to use. Okay, I am executing that one. So knife bootstrap I executed. So now what is happening is that this workstation is entering into this node and bootstrapping that node. That means it is installing the chef client inside that node. Okay, see, you can see these are the steps that are happening. It is connecting to chef node 1, and it is creating a new node. It is creating a new client for this one, and it is entering that particular node, and it is installing chef client inside that particular node. Okay, so it may take some time. So okay, now it is ready. So it has installed unpacking chef. So it has downloaded the resources. Now it is installing the chef client. Okay, so it is starting the chef client. That means the chef client is installed. Okay, so now the chef client is installed in this chef node. So now the bootstrapping is complete. Okay, now if I go here and refresh this one, you will see one node listed. See, one node is listed, which is created just a few seconds. Here you are saying uptime as 22 hours because I used the same name when I was trying out before the session. So please ignore that one. So see, it has like lasted me a few seconds. So this is the new node that is created. Okay, so you can see, like as I mentioned, after installation it executed the chef client as well. See, it is starting the chef client, so it will execute chef client once as well. So at that time, so can anyone tell me what will happen, like what tool will be executed when chef client is executed? Every time when chef client is executed, one more tool will be executed by default. Can anyone tell me what is that tool? Kathy is saying Ohai, Rafanshu Ohai tool, Mahesh is saying Ohai tool. Excellent. Akhil is also saying Ohai, Nikhil, Shreyas, everyone is saying, Nikhil is saying knife. Nikhil, no, actually it's Ohai tool. Okay, so whenever you execute chef client, the Ohai tool will also be executed and it will collect the node details. Now if I go in here, see this attributes. Here you are getting lot of items. See OS version of that particular node, then platform, virtualization languages, commands, networks, IP address, all those things. These things are you are getting from via the Ohai tool, because the Ohai tool is executed when the chef client is executed. That is the reason why you are getting these details. So as you can see, there are a lot of attributes that are collected by Ohai tool by default. Is it clear? So clear? Now you can see that in here you can see run list, tags, environment. We haven't specified any environment or run list. These run list and environment we'll be seeing in the next class. So now we haven't specified anything. That is the reason why it is empty at the moment. So Vivek is asking, can you please explain again? Vivek, can you tell me what you want me to explain again? Meanwhile, Akhil is asking, so in the workstation image, chef client was there and Ohai was also present then. No, Akhil, see, please don't get confused. This is not the chef workstation. This is the chef node that we just now created. See, this is this machine. Okay, please don't confuse between chef workstation and the chef node. This is the chef node, not the chef workstation. So in here, at the time of bootstrapping, when we executed this particular command, like knife bootstrap chef node from the workstation, at that time, this workstation will bootstrap this particular node, which means that the workstation will install chef client and corresponding tools, including Ohai, inside this particular node. Is it clear? Is it clear, Akhil? Akhil is asking, so while bootstrapping this, okay, exactly, Akhil. So while bootstrapping Ohai and Chef Client, all those tools that are required by Chef Client will be automatically installed. Okay, Khadi is asking, where can we see Ohai created? See, Khadi, see these tools that are installed. When we bootstrap, the tools that are installing, it will already have Ohai installed. Like it will already have Ohai inside there. So it will automatically install Ohai. So it will install Chef Client and also Ohai tools. Bhushan wants me to repeat pull. Portion we haven't started, we haven't explained, or we haven't started on pull. We only bootstrap. This is push based. For bootstrapping, the workstation will be entering into the node and bootstrapping it. Okay, so I'll come back to that one. Vivek is asking, after you have created a node, what exactly we have done? Okay, so I'll explain this bootstrapping once again. Okay. So meanwhile, Akhil is asking for local one, which you done before Ohio is not required as bootstrapping not there. Exactly, Akhil. So for the local, like if you are testing a recipe or a cookbook locally in your workstation, then it will try to execute Ohio. Like if you see this in my local execution, see it is trying to see whether this Ohio is there, and it is identifying that it does not exist, and it is skipping that Ohio, or that collection, resource collection, it is skipping. That attribute collection it is skipping because this is workstation. It doesn't have Ohio installed. Since it is not bootstrapped, it doesn't have Ohio installed. Is it clear, Akhil? Rajita is asking, how can we check Ohio tool is installed or not? Rajita, once you do bootstrapping, Chef will ensure that it is, knife tool will ensure that it is Ohio is installed. So you don't have to worry about that. So once your bootstrapping is complete, and you don't have to worry about whether Ohio is installed or not, because if Chef client is there after bootstrapping, that means Ohio will also be there. Okay, now I will explain bootstrapping once again. Okay, so first thing is, like you're creating a new node. In my case, I have created a new node called chef node 1, and inside the chef node 1, I just change the root password so that I can use this password. Okay, so once you have a fresh node, first thing what you have to do is to add it to your chef infrastructure. What you have to do is you have to bootstrap that node. As I mentioned, bootstrapping a node should always happen, or will always happen manually. You'll have to manually bootstrap the node. So in order to manually bootstrap the node, we will be using the knife tool inside the chef workstation. So inside the workstation, we'll be using the knife tool, and this is the command that we will be using: knife bootstrap followed by the node name, which is this chef node 1, then followed by the username and password for this particular machine to enter into this particular node for bootstrapping. That is why we are specifying the root name, username and password. Then we are giving the node a name. This is a node that we will be using inside the chef server for this particular node. Okay, so once you execute this one, at that time what it will do is this chef workstation will enter inside this particular node. It will install chef client software, and during that installation it will also execute or install Ohio tool. Okay, so after installing chef client, see in this one, thank you for installing chef. See, chef client is installed. After installing chef client, it will start the first chef client run. It will execute it once. Okay, so when the chef client is executed once, at that time itself, the Ohio tool will be automatically triggered. As I mentioned, this is because, as I mentioned, whenever you execute the chef client command in a node, by default Ohio tool will also be executed to collect the system current system information. Okay, so it will execute that Ohio. It will collect the details, and all those details will be there in the server. It will be provided to the server as well. So that is the reason why in the server a new node is coming, and the node name is chef node 1. That is the name that we have created here, we have given here, like chef node 1. That is the name that is coming here. And if you go to attributes, you can see the details that are collected by the Ohai tool during Bootstrap, or after Bootstrap. When it executed this chef client once, or initially, at that time Ohai will be executed, and Ohai will collect these attributes, these details, and that is there in the chef server. So Nainendu is asking, does Ohai send the details to workstation after Bootstrap? No, Nainendu. Now after this, workstation doesn't have any communication with the node. So Ohai will store this data, this information regarding the node will only be there in the chef server and the node. It won't be there in the workstation. Okay, so is this process clear now? Vivek, Bhushan, is it clear now? So Bhushan is asking, is there any command to confirm Ohai install? Uh, Bhushan, uh, by default, you won't be executing the Ohai command separately, but actually there is command to test whether Ohai is also okay. So what I'll do is, during the next class I'll tell you the command that you can execute to check whether Ohai is installed or not. But one thing that you have to keep in mind is that once bootstrapping is complete successfully, then Ohai will be there. Ohai, it will end once bootstrapping is done successfully. That means Ohai is already installed during bootstrapping, so you don't have to worry about that. But that command to execute Ohai manually, that I'll check and get back to you. Okay. So Nainendu is asking, does Ohai send the details to workstation after bootstrap? Then what's the point of having Ohai? See, Nainendu, as I mentioned, this when we go into some other a bit more elaborate recipes in the next class, at that time we'll see that we'll be installing softwares, right? So when we install software using the package resource, at that time, sorry, we'll be only specifying the package name, like you'll be using this specifying the resource type as package, but you won't be specifying whether it should use the package manager as apt-get or yum. So based on your machine's operating system, whether it is Ubuntu or CentOS, based on that, information collected by Ohai, this package manager that is used will change automatically. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to manually specify that. Okay, if it is Ubuntu system, then you use apt-get as the package manager. If it is CentOS mentioned, then use yum as the package manager. You don't have to specify that. So Ohai, based on the information collected by Ohai, it will automatically do that. It will automatically pick the decider. Is it clear, Nainendu, why we need this Ohai? Okay. Now Khadi is asking, can you explain last command of chef client? Okay, so Khadi is asking, can you explain last command of chef client? Khadi, I'm not sure which command do you mean. Do you mean this knife bootstrap command? That is what I explained just now. Okay, see, Khadi, this knife bootstrap, this command is used to bootstrap the chef node. Okay, so as I mentioned, from the workstation, initially you will have to bootstrap the chef node to install the chef agent, which is chef client inside that node. So using knife bootstrap chef node, here you will specify the node name. Here, this is the node name, chef node 1. So that node name followed by the username and password, which is the root user and password. And when you execute that command, at that time this chef workstation will be entering inside this particular SSHing inside this particular node and installing chef client inside that node. Is it clear, Khadi? Okay, now Vivek is something, but why do we exactly need a node? See, chef client can be actually used to pull the config to Docker container and push to various configuration files. Vivek, no. See, Node is the machine that you will be configuring. Workstation is the machine you will be working on. You'll be using your main purpose of having Chef is to configure machines, right? So in order to configure machines, you will need machines to configure. That machine is the Chef node. Is it clear, Vivek? Now Prapanshu is asking, how do we get notified after bootstrapping is done? Pravanshu, see, after bootstrapping is done, you'll get your console back. It will say like chef client finished, resource updated in 11 seconds. That means it will get. After this command execution, you will get the terminal back, and once you get the terminal back, that means the bootstrapping is successfully completed. Is it clear, Pravanshu? If there is any error, then you will be getting that error message. Vivek is asking, okay, so to configure machine, we need machines to configure. It is not an overhead. Exactly, Vivek. So in order to configure machines, we need machines which can be configured. That is what this chef node is. Okay. So that is the purpose of using a configuration management tool to configure machines. Okay, now Prapanshu is asking, is that knife bootstrap command which you told net network? Prapanshu, I am not sure about that question. Can you please elaborate on that? Now, Akhil is asking, nodes can be any OS. So Ohio will have detail of that also. Exactly. Akhil, see, in this case, the OS operating system is Linux, operating system OS version, then platform is Ubuntu. These things are collected by Ohio. So if it is a Windows version or if it is an CentOS version, then the platform will be CentOS. If it is a Windows, then it will be Windows OS like that. So Ohio will collect those details. Is it clear, Akhil? Okay, good. Now, is there any doubt in this bootstrapping? Anyone? Riza is asking, Ohio is like a factory in Puppet. Exactly, Riza. So you know Puppet. So we'll be saying Puppet in the upcoming sessions. But since you know Puppet, I'm saying that Ohio is like factory in Puppet. Okay. Now, Akhil is asking, are there any main log files? No, Akhil. There are no main log file by default. But if you want to like since it will be pulling since the chef nodes will be pulling the configuration polling the configuration, sorry, chef server periodically, the chef server will have the details regarding like if you go to this reports, it will have the run summary, like run counts, run duration, like whether it is success or failure or aborted. All those details you'll be able to see in the chef uh, chef server. Okay, so Firoj is asking, is there any alternative way for bootstrapping? No, Fresh. When you're using Chef, you'll be using Knife Bootstrap to bootstrap your nodes. Okay, Foshan is asking, is it possible to install agent directly during node creation? Foshan, even if you add, even if you install agent directly, you have to specify, like you have to link the chef server with the node, right? So that also will be happening during the bootstrapping. So that is the reason why the chef server knows that, okay, this particular node is now ready and this node will be polling me. During the bootstrap only that will be clarified. So there is no use of directly installing the agent while the node is created. Okay. Now Riza is asking, is bootstrapping a default thing to do or else we can skip bootstrapping? No, Riza, bootstrapping is an important thing and it should be done. So if you don't want to do bootstrapping, then you will have to use a configuration management tool which is push based, instead of pull based. We'll be seeing one tool, push-based tool. At that time, it will be clear to you. Okay. So, are your doubts clarified? Okay, good. Now, sorry. So now, if I execute, if you want to see the list of nodes using the knife tool, then what you can do is you can execute the command knife node list, and it will show you the nodes that are there in the server, chef server now. Okay. Similarly, if you use the -C option, then it will show all the local or temporary chef server or chef node that is created. Like this is using the which is this default node. This is the local node that is there in your workstation. So if you use -Z, that means it is in your local machine, like inside your chef 0. Okay. So this one we saw. Chef apply, chef client local mode we saw, then creating organization. You can go to, like for creating your chef server account, you can go to either of this website and create a new account. Will be asked to give the username and password and all. Then once you have, first thing it will ask you to create a new organization, and once you create the organization, you'll have to specify a full name and short name for your organization. And once you create the organization, you'll go to this page and download the starter kit. Okay, so whenever as I mentioned, you have to make sure that you only download that particular starter kit once and keep it safe, because whenever you re-download it, the keys will be changed. So if a particular set of nodes is already using a node, an old key, then if you're re-downloading the key, re-downloading the starter kit, then it will recreate a new key and the old key will be invalid. So your old nodes won't be able to communicate with the server after that. Okay, so please make sure that you only download it once. Okay, this is what I mentioned, like chef starter you will get, you can unzip that one and you will get the chef repo folder. So this one we saw like how to upload the recipe or cookbook. Then you can create node, then chef server bootstrapping node. This is how you will bootstrap. Then the bootstrap command, it's the same. Then executing knife, see the list of commands in local mode. Okay, so that's it for today's session. So as homework, please set up your chef workstation, then create a chef server account, then experiment with different recipes. But more about recipes we'll see in the next class. But you should try about creating a default recipe like the file recipe, and test the recipe on your local workstation. Then upload the recipe to chef server, then create a chef node and bootstrap the chef node. Okay, so any doubt in the topics that we covered today? Anyone? Please go through the video once again and see whether you are having any doubt. You have to execute the commands and see whether you are able to execute the commands. And if there is any doubt when you are executing those, please email me with the question and I'll get back to you. Also, you can also ask the questions during the next session. Okay, so any doubt in the topics that we covered today? Anyone? Virendra is saying, I have mailed my doubt on vegan. I have not received any reply. Virendra, actually, I haven't received any email. So, can you do one thing? Can you please resend your email to Collabra once again so that I'll get, and as soon as I get it, I'll check and get back to you. Okay. So Nainendu is asking, can you explain why Git was essential? Nainendu, Chef by default uses Git as the source control system. So without configuring Git, if you won't be able to use nice upload commands. You won't be able to execute those commands because Chef expects to have a Git, expects you to have a Git account. Okay, Pravansh is asking, Chef trial version account how many days we can use, and we can try all issues. Pravanshu, if I am correct, there is no end date as of now, because I have created my account say 6 months back, and I am still using that account. So I don't think there is an expiry date. But if it is enterprise version, then there are of course a lot of more features available for you. That is the difference. Okay, now Virendra, yes, you can resend the email, and I'll, as soon as I get the email, I'll check and get back to you. Okay. Now Akhil is asking, internet is necessary after Bootstrap or inside LAN one can do. Actually, internet is necessary because see, in our case we are using a hosted Chef server, right? So the Chef server is online now, hosted by Chef itself. So in order to communicate with that Chef server, the node should have internet access. So internet access is necessary in this particular case. And also bootstrapping also internet access is required, because it will be adding the node to the Chef server. So whenever communication is there with Chef server, it will need internet access. Okay. So any other doubt? Anyone? Manoj is asking, is there any forum by Collabra where we can ask questions? Manoj, you can email your questions to techsupport@collabra.com, and they'll ensure that I'll get a copy of that mail. Or they'll be forwarding that mail to me, and I'll get back to you after checking. So you can always email to this email address. Your questions, any questions that you have regarding the session, you can always email to Collabra. Firoj is asking, can we bootstrap multiple node at the same time? Firoj, no, you'll have to bootstrap nodes individually, because you'll have to specify the node name also, right? So if you want to specify the node name, then you should use, and you have to specify the username and passwords and all. So normally it is done individually. Okay. So any other doubt? Manoj is asking, point of forum is that duplication of question can be avoided. Manoj, what you can do is you can send an email asking regarding this forum to tech support Collabra, and they'll definitely get back to you. I'm not sure whether they have one, but I don't think so. So anyway, you can ask the Collabra support. Okay. So if there are no doubts, Akhil is asking, can we ask old session questions also? Akhil, in email. Yes, Akhil, you can ask old session questions also via email. Yeah, I'll check and get back to you. Okay. So if there are no other doubts, then we'll wind up today's session. So I hope you all understood the Chef configuration management tool, and tomorrow also we'll be continuing with Chef. We'll be going a bit more in depth. We'll be seeing how to configure node. Today we only saw till bootstrapping. Tomorrow we'll be seeing the configuration of the nodes and all. So that's it, everyone, for today. So see you tomorrow. Okay, bye, have a nice day.